Good morning and welcome to the DFS YouTube channel. I am Razzle11 and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. We are going to take a look at some pitching for today, the 23rd of September. We have a 9-game day slate and a 4-game regular evening slate. Prize pools are very similar, but it looks like DraftKings is referring to the day slate as its main one. It actually looks like we have an 8-game main slate because of the Atlanta-Washington game being postponed. There is some weather on the East Coast, so we'll need to pay attention to a couple of games out there. But let's dig in right away. At the top, we get Corbin Burns, a minus 125 road favorite. Or not Corbin Burns, sorry. Brandon Woodruff. A minus 125 home favorite today. Or road favorite. Wow, I'm all over the place. He's been phenomenal. Pretty easily the best option, in my opinion. Complete game shutout against Miami the only time he faced them. Obviously hasn't been as strong on the road fantasy point wise. Hits allowed, base runners, etc. It's been phenomenal. Little unlucky, I guess, in the allowing 9 runs, despite only allowing 21 base runners. So Woodruff definitely the top option for me. Zach Wheeler a minus 190 home favorite here against the Mets. Struggled against the Mets earlier, hasn't been as strong at home. With that said, coming off of a great start against Atlanta after Atlanta knocked him around, so good bounce back. Has double-digit K upside, but his strikeouts are kind of all over the place this season. I will definitely be interested in him. I just prefer Woodruff at this point. So if I'm going to be spending, 11K plus, I'm just going to go to Woodruff a majority of the time, especially in most of my hand builds. Sonny Gray taking on an Angel squad that's striking out an absolute shit ton right now. I think I looked yesterday, and in September they're striking out at something like 35% rate or something like that. I didn't look at any updated numbers yet, but Sonny Gray in a great spot, a minus 220 home favorite. Game total of just 7.5. Give me all the Sonny Gray as well. He does have these random starts where he just goes 4 innings, 5 innings. It's been mostly going 7 lately, which is nice because early in the season he definitely wasn't. Being a 2K price difference between he and Woodruff, that's significant. If they're much closer in price, I still would prefer Woodruff in the spot. But Gray is certainly up there as probably my second favorite. Luzardo, a slight home underdog. He's been pretty strong at home, struggled against the Brewers. The Brewers just destroyed Miami pitching for, 100 runs last night. Luzardo coming off an elite start against Atlanta. He has plenty of upside, but then he has plenty of, downside to it. So super volatile. I love him for GPPs, but I'm going to temper my expectations a little bit. Milwaukee has been best against left-handed pitching in the second half. First half, we used pretty much any left-handed pitcher against them, and it worked out well for us. They made acquisitions, and the roster adjustments they have made have really firmed up their lineup versus left-handed pitching. So it's now actually right-handed pitching we prefer against Milwaukee. Dylan Cease on the road against Boston. I need a big C start for best ball purposes, so I may end up fading him in DFS. Boston's a minus 155 home favorite here, so that is a little worrisome. He has upside, but he's volatile. Hasn't really been great recently, other than the Minnesota start, or it's Kansas City actually, which isn't bad. Minnesota start, I thought he was going to dominate and wasn't anything special. I think it was the walks again. If he can avoid walks, that's usually his best route because his strikeouts go up. So he will be in my pool just because his ceiling is so nice, but I'm gonna guess it's only a 15% play. I wouldn't mind fading him, and just relying on him in best ball only. But uh, if he does go off, I'd be pretty upset about not having some exposure in my MME. Jin Ryu, it's been decent. It's been solid on the road. I think he's certainly viable. Tampa Bay's dealing with some injuries, but most of the injuries they've been dealing with have been to their left-handed hitters who probably weren't going to be in the lineup. Uh, Tampa Bay is a minus 135 favorite. Game total just 8. The issue I do have is there isn't a ton of strikeout upside with Ryu. There's strikeouts in the Tampa Bay lineup, but Ryu just doesn't rack up the strikeouts. Stroman, in his return, has pitched 3 innings in relief so far. This will be his first start back from the IL. His second half has been horrible before landing on the IL. He gets an elite matchup against Colorado. We've been picking on Colorado with pitching a lot. It's a minus 250 home favorite. Total of 8.5. I think we're gonna have to use Stroman, but I'm not overly excited. I don't really know how many pitches he's gonna end up throwing. Um, so I could certainly see him, being limited to 70 pitches or so. But um, I mean, the spot's just really nice, so I'm gonna have to include him. But he's been so bad um, that it is a little wild. Nick Pivetta, a favorite, gets a weak lineup. I'm interested. He hasn't been great at home, but uh, Fenway obviously has a lot of runs. But man, when Pavetta's on, he can just rack up strikeouts. So he's a really tough guy to not have in your pitcher pool because he can just light it up at any point. Carlos Rodon has been pretty horrible in New York, but his last 2 starts, both on the road, have been strong. A lot of strikeouts, and that's what I've been waiting to see out of him. Arizona is a dangerous offense, but Rodon is a minus 135 favorite. He is going to finally be in my pool. I've seen enough now uh, as the season comes to an end, really. But Rodon is definitely going to make my pool because the K's are coming back. Quintana versus Philadelphia, I'm not interested. He's not been as good on the road. He's just not a strikeout guy. Um, and this Philadelphia squad, like, there's just plenty of power, so allowing that much contact usually ends badly. So I'm not really interested. He certainly could be viable, but I'm just gonna pass. Joe Boyle uh, made a start, only threw 58 pitches. I don't think he's going to be viable in the spot. Probably only throws 50 to 55 pitches, maybe a little more, but just don't think he's going to be viable for us. Littell or Little, I'm a little bit interested. If Toronto's without Vlad Jr. again, it does water down the lineup a little bit, but there are just plenty of other guys that I don't know. He is a favorite, minus 135. Game total of just 8, so Vegas kind of believes in him a little bit. Uh, he's somebody I'll probably have to make a final decision on. Could make my pool or could just be left out. Joey Wentz, I like him. I like the K upside. Coming off of a pretty solid performance. I think he was a piggyback. He was the long reliever. That's why he got the win after 4 1/3. We see him get a regular start. I'll be fine too. I wouldn't mind them going with an opener as well, just to ensure we can get a potential win out of Wentz. Uh, so I guess I would prefer him over Little and I guess the rest of these guys down here. Rosenberg K upside is nice because of the matchup. Was solid against Cleveland, but I, I don't know. I'm gonna consider Rosenberg just because Minnesota clinched the division last night. so there may be a bit of a hangover today, literally and figuratively. So maybe he's viable for us at 5,400. That doesn't feel great. It feels more like a 10 to 15% play, but it's the kind of play that I feel like we can make, but just based on upside. So there we have it on that slate. Let's look at this four gamer really quick. Uh, Clayton Kershaw in what could be his final start of the regular season. I know he could start next weekend, or they could rest him and push him back for the postseason. Has been dominant at home. Uh, been pretty limited of late. You know, they're not really going to stretch him out. He could be at 70, 75 pitches for all we know. I just know that I like left-handed pitching against the Giants. But if we're only going to get 70 pitches out of him, I can't do it for 11K. So hopefully some news comes out about their plans today with him. Logan Gilbert absolutely dominated Texas the first time he faced them. It's been better on the road. Coming off a really rough start, but that was against the Dodgers. I like the upside. It's a dangerous spot for sure, but I love the upside here. He's a Texas is a minus 120 favorite, but so it's basically getting close to a pick 'em. Jordan Montgomery has had some really strong starts, back to back really great starts. Dangerous lineup, but plenty of upside. Seattle isn't striking out as much in the second half as they did in the first half, but they're still a top 10 team, I believe, in strikeout rate. So uh, there is upside for Montgomery, and he is favored here. So definitely going to be interested in him in this on this four-game slate. JP France kind of alternated solid performances with total crap performances. He's coming off of a 0K performance against this Kansas City squad. Uh, I don't love back-to-back starts against the same team, but in this instance, I'm thinking JP France bounces back a little bit. His walks have been up, and that's the worry. So I just don't see myself going heavy, but he is going to be in my pool because I actually do believe in a bounce-back spot for him against a weak Kansas City lineup. Avila, being the projected long man, can rack up fantasy points quickly. 3 innings as a long man, got the win. 5Ks, almost 20 DK points. He goes, 5, 6 innings as a long man. He can get there. Matchup is decent. Minus 178 favorite are the Padres. So it'll just be a matter of figuring out how long Nick Martinez is going to go. It'll be interesting, like they paired up last time out. Martinez went 3. Avila went, what was it, 4 1/3. They combined for, what is it, 33 fantasy points? Or 35, 36 fantasy points. So that's very interesting. Nick Martinez at 6K is probably not viable. We really do need him to be able to get the win, which it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do. But it's very interesting. Woodford being called up, was called up, just threw 2 2/3 out of the bullpen. Um, Man, he was being stretched out in the minors. He's actually a guy that I was intrigued by coming into the season. So I'm a little bit intrigued here, but I don't think I'm going to get there. It helps that it's 4 game slate, so maybe we have to. And I'm just not using Jordan Lyles. So there we have it. There's a look at pitching for today. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on to get that alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. If you want to join us, get access to our tools, coaches, sheets, Discord, etc., I'll put links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, that's RAZ, for 10% off monthly. And as always, best of luck, everybody.